It's good to be here with you at Daytona International Speedway this week. As you know, Daytona is synonymous with performance in the United States. It's the home of the world-famous Daytona 500 and the Daytona 24 Hours of Endurance for road race cars. We're here this week to evaluate 4 Dodge performance cars, all with the possibility of 0 to 50 times in under 6 seconds. The Dodge Omni GLH Turbo, the Dodge Shelby Charger Turbo, the Dodge Lancer ES Turbo, and of course, the Dodge Daytona Turbo Z. We'll be evaluating the cars this week from 2 perspectives. The first will be from a performance perspective, where we'll put the cars through basically racing paces. In addition to that, we're fortunate enough to have 4 Dodge salesmen from across the United States who will join us and help us with our comparison of these cars against their nearest rivals, the Pontiac 6000 STE, the Volkswagen Golf GTI, the Camaro Z28, and the Toyota Corolla 16-valve GTS. Let's put these cars through their paces now. George, here on the road course at the Daytona International Speedway, in our fuel-injected turbocharged Lancer ES, we have the opportunity to really be able to experience what we discussed earlier is the tight feel and the supple handling of this European-style sedan. Now, the Pontiac that we've been testing at over 3,000 pounds with a 6-cylinder fuel-injected engine only develops 130 horsepower, while our Lancer ES at 2,700 pounds develops 146 horsepower out of a 4-cylinder engine.
Well, that's quite a difference. How would you best describe the advantages of the water-cooled turbocharging system?
Well, traditionally in turbochargers, heat and heat dissipation have been a problem, and Chrysler engineers, understanding the problem with heat and turbocharging, made the bearings on our turbochargers water-cooled, and that means that they'll never exceed the temperature of the engine, the ambient air temperature of the engine, and that leads to better turbo life and less turbo lag, and it's really a nice package. That smooth blend of acceleration, the lightweight, the gas-charged suspension all give us this European handling feel, this tightness that we look for in a fine Grand Touring sedan.
Yeah, I find quite a difference between the handling this car and the Pontiac 6000. And the 6000, I got more of a mushy feeling, not near as secure in the corners as this car.
That's exactly right, and it's that European-style handling that makes this one of the best performance sedan packages available in the United States. And my understanding is that with all of these features, it's still less expensive than the Pontiac 6000. George, we've been driving the Lancer ES on the high bank and the road course here at the Daytona International Speedway this week, and I notice as a driver that tight European sedan feel of the car. That's the performance side. What are some of the things from a sales aspect that you might point out to a customer looking at a car in that class?
Well, the first thing I'd have to point out would be the attractive European-type styling of the Lancer. In looking the 2 cars over today, you get the impression on the Pontiac 6000 that they've taken a regular family sedan, added the wheels and tires, and put that badge on it. And it comes off kind of a boxy shape. And whereas the Lancer looks like it was designed from the start to be smooth and aerodynamic. To achieve that look, though, they start out with a smooth hood, which meets a flush-mounted windshield, which is laid back at 58 degrees. From there, they added aircraft-style doors, which mold right into the roof line for a smooth look.
Well, I know when we were doing our evaluations on the high-speed oval, one of the things that I noticed was how comfortable the car is. There was very little motion, very little movement. You were very firm in the car, and the handling was quite nice. And I would assume that this type of aircraft design lends itself to that type of comfort.
Yeah, not only handles well, it sure makes for a good-looking car, too.
It really does.
Another thing that is interesting about the styling on the Lancer is the fact that it looks like your standard sedan, but actually has the versatility of a hatchback. As I come around, you'll notice how the hatch opens nice and wide, and it gives us a lot of storage room.
One of the things that I noticed is it has split seats, so you can fold down one seat at a time. That's got to be an advantage.
Oh yeah, whether you've got skis or golf clubs, you can lay one side down and somebody can sit on the other side. So by any way you use it, the versatility is really nice.
One of the things that I found as we were driving, especially around the road course, is that the car is very driver-friendly. The seats have good support, the instrumentation's easy to read, it's got a comfortable, thick, padded steering wheel. How does this translate for the European sedan-style buyer?
Well, one thing they did, I feel, is they designed the car with aerodynamics in mind, which means conforming the car to the driver, that relationship car to driver, and it's merely putting everything within easy sight and easy reach of the driver, whether it be your driving controls or your floor shifter on the console or easy to read gauges. It's all in place and easy to get to.
I noticed that it had the good lateral restraint bucket seats, and in racing, obviously, the seat's very important to us because of the G-loads that we take. I found this one, however, to be comfortable, which I think is very important for the road driver, and still offer that feel and fit that allows you that confidence in any type of situation that you might encounter on the highway.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed about the Pontiac is that the seats were nice and soft, but I find that more at home in my living room than in a touring sedan of this type. You know, so it's quite a difference. But one thing I really appreciate is all the convenience items in the Lancer ES. For example, your convenient door pockets in each side. And myself, I like my cassette tapes, and though both cars do offer the cassette holders, one advantage in the Lancer is that the Lancer's cassettes are all tucked away in nice little trays inside the console.
One of the things that I noticed is in both the Pontiac 6000 that we drove this week and the Lancer, both cars had an automatic transmission. It would seem to me that there might be customers who would be looking for a European-style sedan that would want a 5-speed. Can we get that? Is that available in these cars?
Yes, the Lancer ES gives you a choice, John. You can get a standard close ratio 5-speed transmission, whereas the Pontiac 6000, automatic sit, there is no choice.
One of the things that the European manufacturers are always stressing is quality of workmanship, quality of design, handling, performance, and I guess as a consumer I would translate that into what kind of support the manufacturer was willing to give the car, and that's measured in warranty. What kind of warranty comparison do we have here?
I'm glad you brought that up because we really have a super competitive edge in that area. The Dodge Lancer offers a 5-year, 50,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, whereas the Pontiac 6000 only has a 2-year and 24,000-mile warranty. And it even goes further than that, for we offer, again, the 5-year, 50,000-mile package on the outer panel rust-through, whereas the Pontiac 6000 only has a 3-year unlimited mileage warranty. So we really have an edge in that department.
On balance, in my opinion, there can be no question. We have 4-door sedan convenience. We have sports car styling and handling. We've got European design and comfort. A tremendous package, I would think.
Yeah, it's really exciting to be able to offer this type of sedan for the type of competitive edge we have.
What I notice most about our drive at the Daytona International Speedway today in the Daytona Turbo Z was the balanced performance. Good acceleration, good handling on the road course, good road holding on the high-speed oval, good braking, not just one item. Does this type of totally balanced performance carry over into what you would offer a prospective client looking for a sports car like the Daytona Turbo Z?
Yes, but here today I've got an advantage that I wouldn't have if you were on the lot. We have both cars next to each other, and as you can see, both of them are pretty sleek-looking cars. They both have the aerodynamic effect, but the Dodge Daytona, I think, is a better designed car because we have a functional and specially made air dam and side skirts. We have a functional hood louver, which, of course, that one isn't. This lets the hot gases from the turbocharger come out. Also, we have halogen headlamps. Now, they don't even have that unless you want to pay another $25. And if you look down the side of the car, you'll see it's a nice, smooth finish. All right, there's no ripples or bumps or anything. And our doors, they're aircraft-style doors. What we have here is we also have built-in drip rails. As you can see on the Camaro, they're on the outside.
Well, I would assume that things like the flush door mounts and so forth help because I noticed the car was very quiet as we were driving at speed on the oval today.
And another thing that helps this car is what it rides on. It rides on the V-type tires, the wider ones, and we've got 15-inch wheels where a lot of cars in this class have 14-inch wheels. Now, back here in the back, this is one place that I noticed a big difference between the Camaro and the Daytona. First of all, when you open it, it's very easy to open because we've got gas shocks. so it more or less does it itself. When you put the back seat down on the Camaro, which happens to be an option that I believe is about a $68 option, it's not flat. We put the back seats down on ours, it's flat. Also, we have standard a security cover or a cargo cover, whichever you want to call it. You can put things in there, hide them. People don't see them when you're in the parking lots.
One of the advantages here, too, is when you put both rear seats down, you have the feel of a two-seater sports car with the advantage of the roominess of a sedan.
Inside the car, all right, I like to call it the driver's comfort area because this car was designed for drivers, all right? When you sit in the seat, it forms to you. It's an enthusiast seat, all right? It also has a lumbar and back adjustment that's within your reach.
Well, I know when we were out flogging the car on the road course today and putting it through its paces, that I was very, very comfortable in the seat. It felt like a racing seat, and when we were on the high bank, which would be obviously a little faster, but more like the highway driving, it still gave you that comfort and confidence that you need for that type of motoring.
And another thing, I don't know if you get into the engine area of your car, but this car has got an inside hood release, and I like to point this out to people that if you open the hood on this car and you open the hood on that car, to me, that's spaghetti heaven, all right? Here, we've got an automobile that we can work on, if you like to work on it, and we don't have to prop the hood up like you do on a lot of small cars. You can get to everything in this car. You can get to your plugs, you can get to your oil filter, you can get to your battery. It's all here, right up front, where you can get to it.
There's no doubt in my mind that the turbocharged multi-port fuel-injected 2.2 that we have in our Daytona Turbo Z is more state-of-the-art technology than the traditional four-barrel carbureted V8 that we have in the Z28 Camaro.
They used to have an old adage with Chrysler, put a Dodge in your garage. I like to see you put a Dodge back in your garage.
Well, Ron, here we are evaluating these performance cars at the Daytona International Speedway. And here we are up on the high bank oval with the Daytona Turbo Z. It certainly is a different feel from when we were here with the Camaro Z28. The Daytona's about 500 pounds lighter.
Well, what's the difference between the two?
Some of the differential advantages would be the Camaro is powered by an old steel V8 with a four-barrel carburetor. Now, our Daytona Turbo Z has an aluminum-headed, 2.2-liter, four-cylinder, electronically fuel-injected engine. And some of the things that we see are advantages here are the electronic fuel injection, which is multi-port, it's computer-controlled, it senses such things as throttle location, ambient air temperature, under air temperature, turbo boost, and it makes sure that we meter exactly the right amount of fuel at all times. It gives us better engine life, better economy, more efficient performance.
It starts pretty quick, too.
It really does. One of the things that's responsible for that is a lack of turbo lag. On some of the early turbocharged engines, what would happen is when you responded on the throttle pressure, there would be a slight delay from throttle pressure time to the time that the car accelerated. With the new Garrett Air Research turbocharger that we have on our Daytona Turbo Z, it comes in and begins to produce additional pressure in the cylinders at around 1,200 RPMs, basically totally reducing turbo lag. What are some of the things that you might point out, the differences between these two cars?
Well, mainly the difference being is style, comfort, and performance. We spend a lot of our time on the freeways, the Hollywood freeway, the Santa Monica, and you spend anywhere from 2 hours to 3 hours a day on the freeway. So we want to be comfortable. We want a car that's going to get us where we want to go. It's going to stop when we want it to stop. And it's just, it's a status to have something that looks good while you're doing it.
Well, one of the things that makes the car handle well, and you mentioned the handling as being one of your sales points, is the 14-to-1 power-assisted rack and pinion steering that's standard on the Daytona Turbo Z. Now, the Camaro has the old-style recirculating ball steering.
What's the difference between the two?
Well, Ron, rack and pinion steering, especially power assist quick ratio, gives you better road feel. It allows the car to work better, reduces the number of turns lock to lock, and what this accomplishes is it gives you better response and better road feel. On balance, a better package. in essence, Ron, what you said, it's the old Iron Beast versus the new lightweight technology performance machine. Old technology versus state-of-the-art. Well, we've had the opportunity to evaluate the relative performance merits on both the high bank here at Daytona and on the road course between our Omni GLH and the Volkswagen Golf GTI. And it certainly has seemed to me that, based on our comparisons, that the Omni's a better package for the money. We have 146 horsepower out of our 2.2-liter turbocharged fuel-injected engine, and the 1.8-liter fuel-injected engine in the Volkswagen Golf GTI produces only 100 horsepower. So we have almost a third more horsepower.
Feels solid and powerful.
Certainly is. It really helps us exiting these hard corners. We also have the overdrive fifth gear, which helps with this kind of performance with good fuel economy. It gives us a good balance, and we talk about balance a lot in racing. For example, our Omni GLH Turbo generates 168 foot-pounds of torque. And in these short S's here at the Daytona road course, it allows us to keep the car what we call on the pike, which means it keeps it in that power band. And the 168 foot-pounds of torque gives us a better power band than we see with the Volkswagen Golf GTI, because it only has 105 foot-pounds of torque, which comes on 600 RPMs lower than the maximum torque in our Omni GLH.
And this close ratio 5-speed transmission sure seems to be shifting well.
You couldn't have pointed that out at a better time. As we came through the S's there, Wilmer, we were able to feel the advantages of the close ratio 5-speed in transferring the power quickly and easily. In addition to that, we have a 0.72 to 1 ratio top gear with a 2.78 ratio overall, and this allows for a good fifth gear cruising speed, which allows us to have tremendous economy in a car with this kind of performance.
It's a great bargain all the way.
Wilmer, I know quite a bit about the technical aspects of this car, but how does it compare with the GTI from a price standpoint?
Including the turbo engine, this car is approximately $700 less expensive than the GTI.
My understanding is that this is the least expensive turbocharged sedan in America today.
That is exactly correct.
Well, you know, we are talking about performance this week here at the Daytona International Speedway, and there's certainly no doubt that this Turbo Omni GLH is really a nice performance package.
It's a winner. I love every nut and bolt of it.
It really is. We've got 146 horsepower turbocharged motor. We've got the gas-filled iso strut front and gas-filled rear suspension, 14 to 1 power-assisted steering, a close ratio 5-speed. This is a very well-balanced car.
So we tell a customer with a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty, and tied up on top of that all that other package at a lower price.
Wilmer, with a 4-door sedan such as this, it looks like it would really appeal to the family man that wanted a performance car and had the room and interior for he and his family both.
It is designed for a sports-minded, family-related person. That's why you'll notice the back seat with a lot of room in it for family. This is something that the GTI car does not even offer. They only make it in a 2-door. Then, if we open the door and look up front, noticing inside cup holders. This is a nice option. A map light, a nice storage area inside the car. And then look here, AM/FM stereo radio. The GTI Volkswagen has that as an option for $295. Comes standard with the GLH. Then I would draw your attention to our rally dash here with all the gauges and the nice things there that make it easy for the driver to see that you pointed out to me yesterday when we were driving this car. So all in all, it's a roomy car. Notice the bucket seat in this car, how comfortable it looks. And then it also is a recliner, which is not even available with the GTI car.
Wilmer, I noticed that this has a hatchback, too. That must be very appealing to the family man who wants to use the room and for carrying the luggage and that kind of thing on trips.
Great feature. Look here. The hatchback is superbly easy to show, and it's a good sales feature. We lift it up. Our security area here opens up, and there is a large storage area. If you have the back seat folded down, over 37 cubic feet of space, and that's impressive to a customer.
Well, I know Wilmer, from the performance driving that we've done here at the Daytona International Speedway, in my personal evaluations of the two cars, there's no question that the Turbo GLH is a better car from a performance and handling standpoint. Is there anything else that might appeal to the family-oriented performance consumer in this car?
The greatest thing that should appeal to him, all these options we talked about, but price. This car is $700 lesser expensive than the Volkswagen. And, of course, our major #1 seller, it has the 5-year, 50,000-mile powertrain warranty and the 5-year, 50,000-mile rust-through warranty. And Volkswagen GTI offers nothing like that.
It certainly does look to me like this ought to be a good value for the money.
It's the greatest bargain. I love the little nipper. They're easy to sell.
John, we've had the opportunity to make some fairly fast runarounds here at Daytona International Speedway in our Dodge Shelby Charger. What type of things in a salesman's walk-around might you point out to a performance-oriented customer who's interested in purchasing a Shelby Charger?
Well, the first thing I'd probably tell them is that it's not anything that's brand new completely. It's a basic car that was started 7 years ago and it's just been refined. Just as the engine, you know, the 2.2, is 5 years old, and it's just been refined. It's now fuel injected, and this one has the turbocharger on it. It's got a functional air louvers, this functional hump. That covers up where the turbo is in there. And then the lines, the front air dam, the side spoilers. I mean, if you look at the car, it looks like a performance car. Then you got the 15-inch Shelby wheels, aluminum wheels. Let's go to the hatch. With this hatchback design, the rear seat folded down, you get 34 feet of cargo space. That's a lot of room. Then with the tonneau cover back here, which is standard, you can pull it back, cover up any valuables you have in there. It's a nice...
Well, there's no doubt from an exterior standpoint that the car has racy lines. If you were presenting this, the exterior appearance is such that it lends that air of performance to the car. What kind of interior features might you point out to a prospective customer?
I'd show people other standard features that this has, especially that the Toyota doesn't have. Center armrest, standard equipment, not available on a Toyota. Down in here, in this console, you got your drink cup holders. Got a little place here to put some change. That's all standard, not available on a Toyota. On the seats, you got this exclusive Shelby logo, CS for Carroll Shelby.
One of the things that I noticed when we were driving around the high banks and the road course here at Daytona International Speedway is the pedals are set up for heel and toe, and that's something that we racers use a great deal. It allows us to brake the car while allowing our foot to be on the accelerator at the same time to keep the car in the power band, in the performance rev range. The other thing that I noticed, we've got this 4-spoke leather rim steering wheel that's cut out so that we've got a good view at all times of the rally instrument cluster. I would think that would have to be a good sales point to a performance-minded individual who's concerned about the performance and the performance monitoring of their engine.
Sure, you got all the gauges. You can see exactly what's going on.
You know, based on the driving that we did here at Daytona, in both the Corolla twin cam and the turbocharged Shelby Charger, from a performance standpoint, a balance standpoint, acceleration, handling, braking, there was no question in my mind that the car was superior. And now with the exterior and interior features that you've pointed out that are standard on this car, it's a tremendous value, it looks to me like.
But even more, the icing on the cake for this one, 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty. They don't even have that on a Toyota.
What's the price relationship between these two cars?
It's about $700 more for the Toyota.
There's no question. I can't think of any better value from a performance standpoint that we'd be likely to find in this modern muscle car.
Value, price, and performance. Can't beat it.
Well, today, John, we're evaluating our Shelby turbocharger on the road race portion of the Daytona International Speedway. And as we go through the short chutes, turns, and S's here, we're going to be able to demonstrate some of the performance advantages of our Turbo Shelby over the Toyota Corolla 16-valve GTS, which we've been evaluating this week as well. One of the things that we can see as we exit this short right-hander is the acceleration that we have with our 146 horsepower fuel-injected 2.2-liter turbocharged motor. Now, in the Toyota, the engine develops 112 horsepower, And of course, the 30-plus horsepower difference is a real advantage. In addition to that, the Shelby is actually lighter, which gives us a better power-to-weight ratio, about 4 pounds. And what this translates into is a better balanced car. Because it's lighter, we're able to have better acceleration and better braking.
What about the torque?
Well, the advantage to torque is it generates into the ability to accelerate, because it's the ability, torque is what makes the car able to change its mass, to accelerate from a dead stop. We have 168 foot-pounds of torque in our 2.2 liter here, as opposed to 105 foot-pounds of torque in the Toyota. Our torque's also developed at 3,600 RPMs, where the Toyota's is developed at 3,000, which gives us a broader power band. And that's what allows us to come back in and increases what we call shoot speed. From a racer standpoint, that's the ability to accelerate from one corner to the next. As a driver, what that would translate to you would be in passing speed. And that can be very important to a family man who needs to get around a truck on a 2-lane road, or in any situation where you need a little greater performance. Now, as we come out of this short chute here into these S-turns, this is where we're able to see one of the advantages on this car, and that's that we have dual-path, gas-charged ISO front strut suspension on this with performance-tuned springs and gas-charged rear shocks, whereas the Toyota has oil shocks.
What's the big difference there, though? How is that an advantage?
Well, as you go down the road and your wheels are working, suspension's working up and down and cornering, what you have is heat buildup.
Right.
And in a shock absorber that's not gas-filled, that has generally oil as the fluid that's used, the oil can actually bubble and you lose your damping. With the gas-filled shocks, as you can feel on this hard right-hand corner, as the gas heats up, it expands and actually increases your damping forces. So it gives for a smoother, more even ride under all conditions.
So the gas shock's working with you, and the other shocks are working against you.
Exactly. In addition to that, one of the things that we have on the Turbo Shelby, which I really like, is the 14-to-1 power-assisted rack and pinion steering. It gives me a very good road feel. In other words, it transfers what's happening with the car to me very succinctly, and that's very important from a racing standpoint. As we exit this hard right-hander here, let me demonstrate these ventilated front disc brakes for you. Now, if you'll notice, they stop straight and true. Perfect. How do you feel about the performance value of this car as opposed to the Toyota Corolla?
Well, the value, it's a much simpler engine even. And you've got a water-cooled turbo. You can't beat that.
Well, I know we've been using this 2.2-liter engine in our racing cars now for the past 4 years, and I look at things like the design of the steering wheel, where we have open access and good visibility on the gauges, our lateral restraint seats, and the front-wheel drive, which you mentioned earlier, which allows the car to work so well on the corners here at the Daytona Speedway. With those kind of standard equipment, I would have to think that it's a better performance value, wouldn't you?
It's a better overall value. Dollar for dollar, you can't beat American cars, and you can't beat this Shelby Charger.